you. All right, good evening. Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals. It is 7 p.m. on Thursday, January 23rd. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance with Mr. Akari.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just have one announcement for this evening, and it doesn't look like it's really going to be applicable tonight, but Supervisor Zlotnick has requested a public comment time during the zoning and the planning board meetings. Certainly, if you have any comment, but it's just the two of us. This is typically, our attendance isn't usually huge. It's usually the applicants that are here, but certainly giving anyone the opportunity if they want to stand up and say any comments about anything applicable to zoning or any related topics to that. So just wanted to extend that out to you folks, and that will apply for any meeting going forward as well. Okay, next on the agenda is meeting minutes from December 26th of 2019. Everyone get a chance to kind of look through those. Any modifications or adjustments to those meeting minutes? Okay. With that, if I could get a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 26th.
I make the motion to approve the minutes of December 26th.
I second the motion.
Mr. Akari?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. Smaslowski?
Yes.
Chairwoman Surton?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so we have the continuation of the review of the area variance with Mr. Young here on 105 Hudson Lane. And just to kind of recap what we talked about in the last couple months, we have the seeker type 2, which is exempt from further review. We did that in our November meeting, so we got that approval there, as well as zoning board lead agent for that as well, and that was done also in the November meeting. So we've got that piece of it taken care of. We did receive the survey and the deed. Thank you very much for sending that in. Appreciate that very much. And then, so as I read through the documents, obviously the most apparent relief is the proposed negative 5 feet setback. But also in addition to that, you're seeking relief of the code, which is 180-68.A sub 2. So, and just to reiterate what that is, so that would be under non-conforming buildings or structures, additions or alterations, and 2 would be a non-conforming building or structure may not be altered except to create a conforming building or structure. So, Bill, is there any additions to what I just stated that you can think of?
No, I think that's pretty clear.
Okay. Mr. Young, would you like an opportunity to talk at all, or?
Well, I've crunched some numbers since then, so I actually have a different plan.
Okay, sure.
Do you mind if I pass out copies?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
You sure?
May I?
Sure,
Okay.
please do.
Instead of the -5 setback now, I have moved it back to 25 feet. It just brings me a little closer to my dry well, but I'm hoping that puts me in the boundaries that I need to be.
Okay, so with that, I'm just trying to look for the original application. Bear with me. Okay, so,
That would be 17 feet from the edge of pavement?
I'm sorry?
That would be 17 feet from the edge of pavement,
Yes, I believe so, because it was,
and we want 25, is that correct?
Well, you want the 25 foot from the center of the road is the
Center.
right of way. The actual setback for the hamlet, he's asking for full relief with what he's presenting here, full relief of the front setback. Right now, the setback imposed on top of the 25 feet is 15 feet for the hamlet for a
So it's
front
40
setback.
foot from center?
Correct, so he's asking for full relief of the front setback, but he is, with this plan, pulling the project out of the town right away with what he's presenting here.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean it. I was just trying to get the numbers straight in my head. Is that okay? Maybe?
yes, I'm still trying,
And that's
still,
that's something we talked about before, when you were here last time about, you know, if you could move it back, you know, get some relief there, move yourself back a little bit more. And I remember asking you also there about your well, last time, I don't think, we might have been off the meeting, but
Yeah,
there,
well, that's what I
if
said.
you had any ties to your well, from the well to your house, to the corner to your house, where that well was on the other side of the house. This here might, you know,
And this is here. 17
make the whole thing
feet.
sterile.
okay.
It's out.
So that's going to eliminate one of those variances, right?
yeah, so Bill, as how I'm seeing it now, the front setback, the permitted dimensions would be the 15 feet.
The right of way from the road is a 25-foot setback from the center of the road.
Right.
And imposed on top of that with in the H1, our front setback is 15 feet. So it's to build without coming
Okay.
before the board would be a 40-foot front setback. He's asking for relief of the front setback to 0, not -5 to 0. That's, I think, the change is what he's presenting here.
So it's really a 15-foot relief,
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
just to get the numbers right.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, 15 foot.
That's it, huh?
And again, the other structures on the road, there are other existing structures, and his existing structure is in the roadway. So this is an improvement from what he actually submitted last time.
See something. Something else. Yeah, that road here is all. It was only about 13 feet wide, 14 feet wide.
I would estimate, yes.
Yeah, on the scale with your, on your, this drawing here that you presented to us, it was sent out to us, it's a 1:20 scale, so I had my engineer's scale, so it shows about 13 and a half feet.
Was there a reason why the survey didn't have the distribution box on it, or the dry well?
I'm not sure.
Quite often, when the survey's done in an older house, they don't know exact locations. They'll presume a location, they won't have exact locations. Building department basically was established, anything before 1990 is pretty rough to tell what things are in the ground. Anything after that, when the building department was established, and we have a base record, and most of them, nowadays, we're getting a little tighter with as-built and field inspections, so.
You're doing a Alaskan slab or? full?
I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
anybody know what the safe distance would be from a drywall, from a structure?
Typically from a dry well, we like to see roughly 5 to 10 feet, just for maintenance. If it's a habitable space, if it's a garage being an accessory structure, the concern isn't really there, whereas if you would have a structure with a basement where you'd have infiltration into the basement. But typically 5 to 10 feet is the setback from a dry well.
In the dry well, you don't know, is your dry well concrete tank or is it, you know,
Cinder blocks.
cinder blocks? That's old.
I think this is a pass-through.
Yeah,
I don't think it's not a dry well in traditional sense, because he's got a leach field after it.
Yeah,
So I don't think this thing has any, you know, there may be a pipe going right through it.
right, well, that's what I'm saying. We don't, really don't know what it is. The code is 10 foot for your septic tank and 20 foot from a leach field. This is in the leach field. We don't know what the device is. So I'm assuming, as the conversation with the applicant, it's acting similar to a pass-through point where they hook the leach line to and they're leaching
I
out.
don't think there's, you know, the dry well aspect of it's an issue.
no, it's not,
Yeah.
no, that sound like it to me. Just,
So it looks like it's 3 feet. Is that the new
Yes.
distance? Okay.
Yes, yep.
Does anyone have any additional questions? Pat, do you have additional questions? Looks like you're still working there.
yeah, I'm just figuring here, all right, 25 feet from the center road, I got a point back here on this drawing here. And then from the edge of pavement, it's gonna be about 8.5 feet, almost 9 feet from the edge of pavement back.
Right. Including the 25 foot?
Well, you're taking your 25 foot from the center,
Correct.
going back?
Plus 8,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you know, that's what you got.
So it's out of the right of way.
25 foot is the right of way, right at the 25
Right,
foot mark.
yeah.
If he's
So
proposing.
the highway issue
Is null and
yeah,
void.
this is basically aesthetic and things like
The
that.
highway issues thing is gone.
Correct, you're out of the right of way, that's their.
It's just the other building.
It's your front setback that's in question here, the 15 foot of relief, which you are looking to grant the applicant.
If you want to make that motion.
Any other questions?
No?
Okay, let me, just as we, kind of think through this, consider, one of the things I like to do is just kind of restate kind of what we're looking for when we ask for relief for an area variance. Obviously, it's just a refresher for all of us, and it's just a good reminder for an applicant as well. So, in its consideration of area variances, the Board of Appeals shall take into account the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted, as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. In making such determination, the Board of Appeals shall also consider A, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. B, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. C, whether the requested area variance is substantial. And D, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. And E, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Board of Appeals, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. So, so basically, it's like this way. You know, you have to weigh all the considerations in this. It's not one kind of kicks you out. It's just kind of like, okay, is it substantial? is it, adverse to the neighborhood? So it's this, it's kind of weighing and considering. So with that said, if you'd like to make a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that because this is situated on a dead-end street, because the new plan shows for the building to be at least 25 feet from the center line, which is out of the town right away. And because there are many structures on that street which are much closer, and so it would not change the character at all, that we would look favorably upon this, and I guess it would be a 15-foot variance. I would also say that I know that the building department would make sure that this is no closer than,
To the best of our ability.
I mean, within 25 feet, so that there would not be any issues for the town and snow removal and things of that nature.
Correct, just to state that the building department is not land surveyors, we're just out to do field inspections, we'll do it to the best of our ability, and we rely on the applicant to make sure that the setback is met, the granted easement is met.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
And Mr. Akari?
Yes.
Mr. Cullen?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. Smazenau?
Yes.
Chairwoman Sutton?
So, kind of coming into this meeting, gathering all the data, I was very concerned with kind of where it was situated, being that -5 setback, looking at the different considerations for that area variance. The kind of the ones that stood out to me were B, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method, right? And we had talked about that in previous meetings. But also C, the area variance is substantial. So looking at not only the setback relief that you were looking at, but also the code, and that was previously stated, the non-conforming buildings. So when I was considering prior to coming to this meeting, I was leaning towards no. But I really appreciate the fact that you came back with a good solution, and you really considered things that you could do to kind of get out of that, and there's still obviously the relief being sought, but it's less than it was, and it's kind of out of the realm, out of the right of way. So I really do appreciate the work that you did on that. So I'm going to say yes. So
I agree. I mean, that really was, I was worried
Yep.
coming here.
yeah,
I guess you must have figured that too.
yeah.
Well,
We were all concerned.
Well, yeah.
I knew as long as he come back with us, moving that setback back to, like we talked about the dry well, you could do that.
Yeah.
Or I was looking for his ties from his well to the corner of his house to move it to the other side. Because that way there, we had no issues with anything, there was all kinds of space over there.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he moved it back, the X amount of feet back there where he needed to go, so that kind of remedies the situation. It doesn't make it a full compliance with all the codes, but it makes it in compliance with the town, as far as the town maintenance and the plowing of the road and all that. So the variance will give you some relief there.
I think everybody will be happy now, hopefully, because putting it on the other side of the house, this Japanese maple tree that we just planted, it would have made my wife quite upset if we had to cut that down, So
Now
I
I'm
think everybody's
extra happy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we
Everybody
want
will be
that.
happy now.
Yeah.
well, congratulations to you.
Yeah,
Glad that we could
Thank
help
you,
you out with the
everybody.
project.
thank you for working with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So that's it for the agenda, folks. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'll move
Uh,
it.
Motion to
You made
adjourn.
it?
How many open?
All concur.
I need a first.
Pat.
I need a second.
I can,
Second.
second.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
So Nick, you're not taking off on the next 5 business days. You're gonna be around.